All right, welcome back to the program. My guest is joining me right now. My first guest, Ibrahim Maigari, who is the founder of Rice Africa, as well as the co-founder Livestock 247. That's 247.com. Mr. Maigari, good to have you on the program.
Good morning, Nancy. How are you?
I'm well. I'm great. Okay, let's get started. Since we're talking about agriculture and food, I must say, if we take a look at the data, food inflation increasing, crop production contributing so much even to the basket. I know you are into rice production and livestock. Speak to me about perhaps the food prices that we're seeing rising, you know, almost on a daily basis. What do you have to say about that?
First of all, thank you very much for having me. And I must say, your question hits me where, I mean, it's a pain point for everybody. This is about the highest inflation in terms of food prices we've reached in the past 15 years, according to some experts. And I think we've said this thing all along. We've been talking about seeing this coming for the past couple of years. I must believe you. The reasons are quite obvious. It's basically attributed to insecurity. For instance, in the northeastern part of the country, we've been going through very serious insurgency for the past 10 years, which had definitely, denied a lot of farmers in the northeastern part of the country access to farms, and of course, on livestock production. And in the northwest, for the most part of the past 5 years, we've been witnessing and experiencing a higher level of rural banditry. In the north central zone, which is basically like the food basket of the country, we've been having recurrent farmer harder crisis, and then of course pockets of crisis here and there around the country. And of course, one cannot rule out the impact of COVID-19. Experts attributed that the COVID-19 pandemic has wiped out over 70% of the earnings of over 70% of Nigerians. So these factors, I believe, contributed a lot to what we are witnessing. I want to is yet to come, because what we are witnessing now is like a combination of activities that have been taking place the past couple of years. So it's like we're seeing the beginning of impact. Nigerians have low income earnings, we have in currency, we have electricity hikes, fuel hikes, and so on and so forth. So I mean, it's obvious.
Okay, it seems that the network is freezing. We are not getting, Mr. Maigari, are you still there? We're not getting a very friendly network this morning. All right, perhaps we should just try and take a quick break to see if we can reconnect with Ibrahim Maigari, the founder of Rice Africa, and let's continue our discussion on our food. Right back. Ibrahim Maigari is back. Mr. Maigari, the network isn't friendly, and I hope that it continues. It doesn't continue that way, so that we can get to the end of this. I would like you to land on your point that you were speaking about earlier.
Yeah. Well, I was just basically saying we're seeing the culmination of all the attendant problems that I mentioned: insecurity in the far, insurgency in the far northeast, rural banditry in the northwest, farmer harder crisis in the north central, pockets of crisis here and there, COVID-19, and a weakening currency, and of course, hike in the electricity tariffs and all that. With a growing population, it's obvious that definitely we witness inflation in food prices. And if you notice, I think I'm sure you must have read it somewhere or have the data with you. In March alone, we witnessed about 32.9% increase in food prices. So this is as a result of all these attendant problems that we've been mentioning. And like I said before we went off, I don't want to be a doomsday prophet, but I think the worst is even yet to come, because as long as these problems continue, we'll be facing this hike in food prices.
So it seems from all ramifications that insecurity is really hampering development even in the food sector, and that is what is making food prices to skyrocket. So assuming that we don't have pockets of insecurity in almost every part of the country now, especially where food is being produced, perhaps food prices will not be at the level it is right now. Mr. Maigari, if you're still there, I would like you. Okay, I'm being told that we've lost them. I just hope this network would allow us be today and make us conclude this interview. Okay, while we'll try as much as possible to get Ibrahim. Okay, are you here? I can hear you now.
I can hear you, Nancy.
Okay. Let's talk about rice, for example, because so much activity going into the production of rice. Speak to me about that, and when you think we will be self-sufficient. That is one. The B part of the question is that even with the production of our own local rice, we're still seeing that the price of local rice is still high. Why is that, and when do you think we will be self-sufficient?
Well, the whole rice value chain, it's a mystery that deserves very serious attention from organizations like yours. And I believe Nigeria has the capacity to feed itself and even to export to neighboring African countries. And with the landmass that we have, with almost over 30 states of the country actively producing rice, and I still believe there's yet more to be done in terms of improving production. We need to invest more in the capacity of our rural farmers. We need to invest in improved yields. Like most of the varieties that we're farming gives you almost 30% of the global harvest yield. For instance, if you are expected to make about let's say 10 bags, to give you the more pedestrian explanation, 10 bags per particular portion. In Nigeria, you basically get about 3 bags because of the variety. Our varieties are low yield producing varieties. So what we are doing as an organization is to invest in research and to partner with international organizations so that we improve the capacity of our farmers but like I said, the whole point of farming, it's whether you have good farm yield and varieties, you have programs from the government in terms of palliatives, you have inputs, if you cannot access the land where you farm, it's basically useless. So it falls back to, if we don't fix this security problem, no matter the investment, no matter the amount of investment being put in production, farmers will not have access to their farmlands, like we've been noticing in most rice producing countries. But coming back to the fact, I believe if all things being equal, if we fix our security, invest in farm extension services, and then use technology like we are doing at riceafrica.com, is to use technology to actually escalate, to eliminate the multiple layers of exploitation between production and consumption. Because what we're basically seeing at the moment is there's so much investment from the government, there's so much
Now we have Ibrahim Maigari on the phone line, since we can, the network is poor. I don't know if it's from our own end or his end, but whatever it is, these are some of the side effects of technology. All right, Mr. Maigari, welcome again to the program. You were talking about, you were talking about rice earlier, and when do you think we will be self-sufficient? I would like to know.
So you want me to give you a definite, a date?
Perhaps a year will be okay. When? As in what year? Perhaps. We're in 2021 now. With all the things that is seemingly happening, and a lot of investment to go into rice production. Because I know a lot of private sector players that are also, interested in this and are moving into active rice production in the country. So when do you think we will be self-sufficient, that the price of local rice would also fall and affordable?
I think based on our research, based on what we see happening in the sector, I give us in the next 5 years, to be very frank and to be very objective, in the next 5 years, we'll start seeing the impact of the investment. Because to give you the proper context, people need to know that before the coming of the Buhari administration, no matter what you say about this government, there's been a very, very active investment in the rice sector, and they've done quite a lot from the Anchor Board level, from the brief closure of the borders, and the policies on banning of the institution of rice through the land borders. It's all contributed in the peak and the interest and investment. We've seen people investing tons and tons of resources running into billions of dollars, setting up rice mills, going into big time mechanized rice farming, and so on and so forth. So I think in the next 5 years, we should be able to meet our domestic consumption. At the time, I think we consume almost about 7 million metric tons daily, and from the last time that I checked from reliable sources, our production was around 4 billion. So we're still operating, we're still producing less by almost about 40%. But with the level of investment going into the sector, and the players like us coming into play and bringing technology to remove all the layers of exploitation, because what has been happening for the past couple of days, most Nigerians don't know, we buy foreign rice, we buy local rice actually, we ban as foreign rice, which is something like organizations like Rice Africa are trying to do. They are trying to use technology to remove all those layers of exploitation between production and consumption. We are trying to empower the rural rice farmer that links with him directly, that giving him that cover, that now makes him earn meaningful revenue from his efforts at the farm gate, as well as connecting the value chain and following it through. We develop a rice identification system that makes you follow the food from the farm to the table, and so on and so forth. So with the level of investment that I've seen coming into the sector, and with the quality of production, anybody that tells you that local rice cannot meet international standards in terms of quality doesn't even know what to say, because what most unpatriotic Nigerians do is to reback locally produced and processed rice into bags of foreign brands, and they're selling it exorbitantly as foreign rice, which is quite unfortunate, and I think very, very unpatriotic.
So what you just said now, that is where the standards organization come in, and all the regulatory authorities that should be in charge of that, in terms of looking at the products and knowing, because how can businesses, or perhaps some people that are into these crooked businesses, rebagging local rice in foreign bags rice and selling it as foreign bags?
Yeah, I believe because how does the standard organization of organization regulate it? There's a ban actually on the situation of foreign rice during our land border. But we know, but
it's still coming in. You go to the market, you find for foreign rice.
It's been coming in through some unknown sources, especially around the Lagos exit. And but I know that Nigerian Customs Service is up and doing, and they've been raiding some smugglers, but still the consumption is massive. The consumption, I mean, this is a country of over 200 million people, and like I said, they are producing almost 50% less than our capacity. So nobody is even talking about export. They are thinking about improving the quality of the production to meeting up with the local consumption. Lagos alone consumes, based on the statistics revealed by the last government when they signed the agreement with Kevin State government, Lagos alone consumes over 72 trucks a day. I mean 72 trucks, a truck of rice takes about 600 bags. So when you do 72 times 600, it's going to give you about 20,000 bags of 50 kg rice a day. Lagos alone consumes that. So unless and until we have enough production that meets this demand, not production in terms of numbers, but production in terms of the quality, you cannot deny Nigerians the yearn to consume foreign rice, even if it is for the sake of the name foreign, because of that passive mentality that has no quality. So what we're trying to do is we sell local rice as local rice, and we give you the capacity by our mobile app, via the rice ID on the back of rice, to even track the rice to know that the rice that Nancy is probably buying in Abuja was farmed in Abakaliki, was milled in Kano, and now being consumed in Abuja. That's what we're trying to do, and I believe A lot of people can do that, can come into the sector and to export that and to improve production. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Maigari, you will soon pay me for this advert. You know, you will pay me for this advert because we are not advertising your company right here. So I'm going to bill you for that. Expect my invoice after this. Anyway, just a few minutes before we round up, because you know the poor network connection that we had has really, you know, distorted the program this morning. But I would like to get your view on the ban on open grazing. We've seen what has happened, at least in the last few days, the federal government against the state governors and all of that. How do you think that this livestock business should be handled? I called it livestock business because in other countries, it's really a business.
Yeah. I think you get it right on point, Nancy. And for the past couple of years, through livestock247.com, we've been telling people that we should do less of the politics of livestock and talk more of the business of livestock. Nancy, this is a multi-billion naira sector that has been unfortunately going through problems. There are two things that are tickling the development of the sector in Nigeria. I will tell you, one is hate and the other one is arrogance. Hate on the part of, unfortunately, other Nigerians that unfortunately equate livestock with an ethnic group. Forgetting the fact that livestock is responsible for the meat we consume, for the milk we consume, and for the leather products that we all use. Unless and until we start looking at the livestock sector as a business that it is, and we remove the hate, we remove the stereotype, remove the conspiracy on one side, and the other side of the problem is arrogance. Arrogance on the traditional owners of the sector, people that traditionally feel this is our culture. They feel that you cannot tell them that they should move ahead, that time has moved on, that we cannot go on practicing this business as it used to be in the past century or so. So yes, the ban on open grazing, I believe will be very no sensible Nigerian will have any reason to blame the southern governments for banning open grazing. Of course, they did not ban livestock production. I think that distinction was made. They didn't say that they are banning livestock production or they are banning that, but they are banning open grazing. Open grazing, as it is, as everybody knows, has become a source of problem, a source of tension, a source of conflict between communities. And I think all responsible leader, any responsible leader that is learning job, and I want to protect the people, but first of all, take measures to see that this thing is concerned. But banning open grazing is not just a solution. If you ban open grazing, what's next? There has to be a concerted developmental strategy for migrating the thought process from the practitioners of this open grazing to sedentary livestock production. Open grazing, mind you, Nancy, is equal to three things. What is open grazing? Open grazing is all about competition, looking for fodder and water. Why do they move from one part to the other? Because they are looking for waterways, moisture, and fodder. And as long as we don't provide them with that facility, that will continue going on, and that tension will continue happening. So we need to de-escalate the sector. We need to de-escalate the sector, whereby people in the south, the southwest, the south, everybody should switch into this because it's a big business. When we see if the outer man can go to the south and set up an oil well, nothing stops an Ijo man from setting up a cattle ranch or a cattle store to produce this as a business. Until you start looking at the national sector as a business, this problem will not go away.
Thank you very much, Ibrahim Maigari, for joining us. Let's do this again sometime soon. I hope that the network. I hope that the network would allow us next time. Thank you very much for giving your thoughts. All right, I've been speaking with Ibrahim Maigari, who is the founder of Rice Africa and the co-founder Livestock 24/7.